Hey guys, what is going on? Nathan Macias with Detail Launch, where we scale ceramic coating, windows hit, and PPF shops and help them grow and get back their time with our in-house call teams and placing sales reps. And so in today's video, what we're going to be covering is ads and media buying and how to actually make ads that get you cheaper leads, higher quality leads, and actually go ahead and convert for longer so you're not having to switch it out constantly. And so first things first, let's actually break down an ad. And so what most people do and what most beginner agencies do is they go ahead and they run just strictly image creatives. I'm sure you've seen it. Here's a picture of a nice car, $600 ceramic coating, click learn more below to claim now, right? Very basic ads. That will get you leads. And if you're just starting, feel free to absolutely do that. However, as professionals, as people who want to scale, and for those of you who are scaling and are going from $100 a day in ad spend to 200, 300, 400 and beyond, that's not going to work long term. Instead, what we like to do is we run video ads. And so let's break down the parts of the video ad. Let's talk about how we actually structure those and what we're looking at when we actually buy those ads and how you can go ahead and make them more successful. And so first things first, there's three main parts of the ad we look at. There's the hook, there's the body, and there's the call to action. Now, with the hook, we want to go ahead and show a vehicle in motion. And so there's two things we look for. Either number one, we want a nice vehicle driving out of a garage, driving into a detail base, something like that. Or option number two is we want a vehicle that's actively being ceramic coated or polished. That way there's some sort of motion on screen. It's a visual hook. It catches the viewer's attention. Now, there's a common mistake I see made, and that is using supercars in the hook. After split testing a few hundred ad creatives, we found that if you use a video of a supercar at the hook, you actually get less conversions. And the reason being is most people just can't relate to having a supercar. Very straightforward. And so instead, what we see works better is actually going ahead and using luxury cars. And so when we talk about luxury cars, one thing we're seeing work very well right now is we have a clip of Cybertrucks, Porsche 911s, etc., driving out of detail bays, and that is crushing right now. The reason being is people can envision their vehicle. For example, if I drive a $40,000 Honda, right? If I see it in a Cybertruck, I'm like, yeah, it's not a Cybertruck, but it's an everyday vehicle. I absolutely believe this is a service that could work for my vehicle as well. And so we recommend running with luxury cars, not necessarily supercars. And the important part is we want to hook them visually. And so the motion is incredibly important. If you have a vehicle that's just sitting still and someone's just like holding the camera looking at it, that's not going to stop the scroll. Instead, what we recommend doing is going ahead and having a video. You can have someone walking by the vehicle. You can have a Cybertruck driving out of a garage. You can have a person polishing the front hood of a Corvette, right? Those kinds of videos tend to work extremely well. And so try that out and go ahead and do that. But on top of that, one thing that we work really well is say the location of the shop on the ad. And so what we'll do is we'll put a text that says, for example, let's say you're in Medellin, Colombia, right? We'll say Medellin, Colombia, right? On the ad, and we'll have it in big text at the start of the ad. Anybody who lives in Medellin is going to be like, wait a second. This is for me. Let me stop and see what's going on really quick. And we caught their attention. The purpose of the hook is to stop the scroll and to get their attention. And so we need to call them out in the way they identify as quickly as possible. Now, the metric we're actually looking at for hooks and seeing if the hook is working well is the CTR right here. And so the CTR is the click-through rate. How many people are actually clicking on this ad? And so if we have a CTR above 3%, that's golden. The minimum we'll accept is a 2% if the other metrics are going well. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But we want at least a 3% CTR. And if the CTR is below 2%, which is the bare minimum that we'll accept if the other metrics are going well, then the hook obviously isn't working. And so a lot of times, especially with beginner advertisers, and yourself, you may be running ads for the first time. If you're struggling to actually go ahead and get more conversions and you're struggling to keep your cost per lead below 25, 15, $10, if you're struggling to keep your cost per lead below that for qualified leads, then you're most likely not hooking the right enough people. And so what we recommend is we will go ahead and run split tests with dozens of hooks. What this means is we'll set up multiple ad sets. We'll run a few dozen hooks. And at that point, we'll say, okay, which ones have above a 3% CTR? this one, and this one, for example. Cool. Then we take those 3 hooks and we put them all in one ad set and we run it that way. Now, what do we actually put the hooks on? That's where we get into the body of the ad. And so what is the body of the ad? Well, most people make the mistake of just showing fancy cars, right? You don't just want to show fancy cars. This is a big no-no. And the reason being is if you've ever worked with anybody before, you have ever run ads before, and everybody's like, I don't even know what the service is. I just saw some offer and like clicked on it. Then that's exactly what you did here is you just showed them the fancy end result, but you didn't educate them at all. And so the real goal of the body of the ad is to give them some education. And so when people click on our ads, throughout the video, we show the different steps. We show a before of an A-pillar that's completely swirled up. We show a time-lapse version of them polishing it and how shiny it looks, right? We show bugs and hard water spots, and we show them getting removed and sealing in the glossy new shine, and that is actually educating them on what their vehicle looks like now, kind of our process in like a quick 5 seconds, and then kind of what the end result could look like. And by actually educating them on the ad, you have hotter prospects. They're more hot. They're more ready to buy. They're more educated. And so because they're more educated, they need less convincing because they understand what they're actually buying. And then on top of that, they're willing to spend more, right? Because someone who understands what they're buying and someone who is ready to go is willing to spend more money. And so the body of the ad is incredibly important. Now, when do we actually change the body of the ad? Let's say your cost per lead is over $15 for a ceramic coating service, right? That is extremely poor performance if your cost per lead is over $15. And we are going to change that body of the ad because it's most likely that, let's assume that the CTR is good, but you're just not converting enough. It's most likely that the body isn't working well. The body does include the offer. So this is where we would test different price points. This is where we would test different structures. This is where we would test a bunch of different things in the middle to see where it would improve. But let's say the body is less than $15, for example. Then we know things are working well. We would still look at your cost per acquisition, which means how much does it cost us to get a customer? Because if we spend $100 to get a $1,000 customer, I'm making that trade every day of the week, right? And so that's the last thing we look at. Now, in terms of the final thing we're looking at on the ad is the actual CTA. And I don't have a metric we specifically look at that tells us to change the CTA. But what I do look at is overall, I want to include 2 things in every CTA. I want to include a sense of scarcity. Like there's a limited number of spots left. That's a terrible scarcity play, by the way, because it's been run into the ground. All right. What we like to do is we like to actually name a number. For example, we have 7 spots left inside of this special offer. We have 6 spots left for the month of December. And the important thing is don't lie. If you have scarcity, you have scarcity. For example, right now, we're running a beta group where we're very hands-on with this group, and we're scaling several shops to 7 figures extremely quickly. We have one shop that just went from $0 to $50,000 per month in less than 90 days, scheduled revenue, which means that they're doing over $50,000 in actual revenue per month. And then on top of that, they're doing over 25 to 30 grand in new sales per week, which means that they may only see 50 grand this month, but they're scheduling out months in advance, right? And so we have true scarcity around that, right? We can't take on everybody for that. We are only taking on a total of 5 people for that. We're at 3 out of the 5, so we have real scarcity around that. Then on top, so you want to build some real scarcity. For example, this may be a bonus. We're giving a free windshield coating for the next 5 customers. And then at 5 customers, you actually cut it off. And then in order to be an ethical advertiser, you say, well, they've already taken up all the free windshield coatings. However, since you did come in through the ad, I'm more than happy to give you the equivalent credit, which is $150. And so if you'd like $150 credited towards any bonus on any add-on on your service, I'm more than happy to go ahead and credit that to you. Right? That way you're ethically advertising scarcity, but you're still able to have that sense of, okay, I got to buy this because there's only a limited number of spots. Then on top of that is urgency. So this is where we're going to go ahead and say, this offer is only good through Valentine's Day, only good through December 20th, only good through, because that's my birthday, only good through Christmas Day because we're running a Christmas special. Black Friday offers work extremely well for this reason because, for example, one we ran personally was $1,000 off of any of our services, but you had to book it by the end of that Black Friday weekend, right? And so we want a sense of urgency where they're like, I have to book this now or else this offer's gone. And the important thing is to remember, especially when you go ahead and hop on the phone with these leads, don't force them to buy it. If they don't want it, don't make them buy it. But just be very clear, hey, these spots are going to fill up. We are going to go ahead and have a ton of people take us up on this offer. I'd love for you to be one of the people that takes advantage of it. But if you don't think it's the right fit for you, totally cool, right? So give them a small out, but be like, we are going to fill this up. And the reason being is when you're like, hey, I'm going to fill this up. I'd love for you to take advantage, but we're definitely filling this up either way. It gives them, number one, they could take the out. But number two, most of the time, they're like, well, I mean, he's confident it's going to fill up. I have to go ahead and hop on this, right? Because if it's going to fill up, then there must be a reason it's going to fill up. And so by using this process of testing, going ahead and starting with the hook, making sure we have a good click-through rate, the number of people that click on our ad, then going at the body and saying, okay, if our cost per lead isn't good, we probably have a bad offer. And if people are hopping on the phone and don't know what we're selling, we probably aren't educating them very well in the ad. And then the CTA is the scare. And if you don't have scarcity and urgency at play in your CTA, you need to redo your CTA. Instead of saying, click learn more, right? You say, click learn more to claim one of our 5 limited spots. And remember, this offer is only valid for the next 7 days, right? There's a CTA that uses both scarcity and urgency. And so guys, if you guys are about to start media buying, you guys are about to start working with somebody, ask them about their ad buying process, their media buying process, and see where they stack up. If you're doing it yourself, look at these metrics, make sure you're within these metrics, and you should be good to go. And finally, if you're looking to actually scale your shop and grow extremely quickly, I'm going to link down below a way to go ahead and schedule a time to chat with myself and my team. I'd be more than happy to walk you through more of our process, see what's going on in your shop, and see how we can help you scale. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next video.